So a number of people are going to be thinking now, where do they appeal? Can they appeal? What are their prospects of appeal? The new situation on joint enterprise is that the prosecution must establish to a jury, so that they're satisfied, so that they are sure, that a defendant actively assisted or encouraged others in the crime. Foresight is part of proving that case, but the big change is that it is only part of proving that case. It's a part of proving intent, and there must be intent, for instance, as far as a murder conviction is concerned. That's where the law has changed. It's important to emphasise that it doesn't mean necessarily that an individual, say, accused of murder, will walk off scot-free. A manslaughter conviction is highly likely, but it all depends on the case specifics of the set of circumstances. And in joint enterprise cases, they can be many wide and varied facts and circumstances. And so, when you're considering your appeal, understand this change, this important change of the law in that context. If you were convicted, your family or friends or whoever that you know were convicted on an offence purely based on joint enterprise, purely based on foresight and no other evidence, then that conviction certainly comes in the category for consideration for appeal. One of the examples the judges used in this recent important case was that where there are sudden outbreaks of multi-handed violence, such as gang violence, in such defined circumstances, it may be difficult to establish the necessary evidence to actually achieve, say, a murder conviction. And it would certainly be difficult in those circumstances now to get that conviction. In the past, foresight would have been sufficient. Now you need to have proved against you evidence which satisfies a jury so that they are sure of active encouragement and assistance. That's the nuts and bolts of this change of the law, if you will. But there are a number of other issues which maybe need to be considered. One of the things that concerns me here, and it simply comes from 30 years' experience of practice, is that people have, and have until very recently, decided to plead guilty to manslaughter because of the uncertainty of the old joint enterprise law. A fear that they may, as a result of a badly interpreted law, as we now know it was, a concern that they may wrongly be found guilty of murder. And therefore practically, and that's how the courts work, it's a pragmatic arena, pragmatically and practically decided to take a manslaughter. This defined section also needs consideration, because if people decided to plead guilty, say, to manslaughter, to avoid the risk of a conviction of murder based upon a poorly interpreted joint enterprise law, then in my view they too should be considering their conviction. For those that are worried about whether there needs now to be a change in the legislature, that is wrong. Joint enterprise is a common law creature, and therefore Parliament do not need to intervene. And it'll be interesting to watch the cases that come before the courts develop and see where we are.